In the quiet town of Willow Creek, nestled in the rolling hills of Virginia, lived a woman named Sarah Thompson. She was 42, with soft brown hair tied back in a simple ponytail and eyes that held stories she rarely shared. Sarah worked at the local diner, serving coffee and pie to truckers and families passing through on Route 66. Her life was steady, like the slow drip of rain on a tin roof. But lately, it felt heavier. She wore an old military jacket every day, a faded green one with patches from the army. It was her father's, from his time in Vietnam. He had passed it to her before he died, whispering that it carried his strength. Sarah wore it like armor, even in the summer heat. One crisp autumn morning, Sarah stepped out of her small apartment above the diner. The air smelled of fallen leaves and distant wood smoke. She pulled the jacket tighter around her shoulders, feeling its familiar weight. Birds chirped softly in the trees lining Main Street, and the sun peeked over the horizon, painting the sky in gentle pinks and oranges. Sarah paused for a moment, breathing in the calm. This was her routine: walk to the town square, grab a newspaper from the corner store, then head to work. But today felt different. A whisper of unease stirred in her chest, like a leaf caught in a breeze. As she walked, people nodded hello. Willow Creek was small, everyone knew everyone. Old Mr. Jenkins waved from his porch, rocking slowly in his chair. Kids on bikes zipped by, laughing. Sarah smiled back, but inside, she felt the jacket's patches itch against her skin. Lately, whispers followed her. Why does she wear that thing? She'd overheard at the grocery store. It's not even hers. Sarah ignored it. Mostly, the jacket reminded her of Dada, his quiet courage, his stories of far-off places. It made her feel connected, less alone. At the diner, the bell jingled as she pushed open the door. The smell of bacon and fresh coffee wrapped around her like a hug. Her boss, Martha, a plump woman with a kind face, greeted her. "Morning, Sarah." "Coffee's brewing." Sarah hung her jacket on the hook by the kitchen, but today, she kept it on. It was chilly inside, she told herself. Truth was, she needed its comfort. The morning rush began. Families came in for pancakes, businessmen for eggs. Sarah moved with ease, pouring refills, chatting about the weather. Then, a group of young MENA locals in their 20s, fresh from the auto shop, settled into a booth. They were loud, joking about the weekend football game. One of them, Jake Harlan, spotted her jacket. He was tall, with a smirk that never faded. "Hey, Sarah, playing soldier today?" he called out, loud enough for the whole diner to hear. Sarah froze mid-pour, coffee steaming from the pot. The others laughed. "Yeah, what's with the get-up? You enlisting or something?" Another chimed in, "Tommy Ray's." They didn't mean harm. She knew small-town teasing, but it stung. Sarah set the pot down carefully, her hands steady. "It's my dad's," she said softly, forcing a smile. "From the war." Jake leaned back, crossing his arms. "Oh, come on, that thing's ancient. Looks like it belongs in a museum. You trying to impress us?" More chuckles rippled through the booth. A few other customers glanced over, some smiling awkwardly, others shifting in their seats. Sarah felt heat rise in her cheeks. She wanted to explain about Dad's medals, his sacrifices, but the words stuck. Instead, she nodded and walked away, busying herself with wiping counters. The jacket felt heavier now, like a burden instead of a shield. As the day wore on, the teasing lingered in her mind. During her lunch break, Sarah sat outside on a bench, watching cars pass. The wind rustled the leaves, carrying the faint scent of apple cider from the nearby orchard. She traced the patches on her sleeve, the eagle, the stripes. Dad had worn this through jungles and battles, coming home changed but strong. "It's not about the glory, Sarah," he'd say. "It's about duty. About heart." She missed him terribly. Her mom had passed young, and her brother lived out west, too far to visit often. The jacket was all she had left of family. Back inside, the afternoon slowed. Sarah served pie to Mrs. Ellis, an elderly widow who always tipped with a smile. "You look tired, dear," Mrs. Ellis said. "Everything all right?" Sarah nodded, but her voice was quiet. "Just people talking about my jacket." Mrs. Ellis patted her hand. "Wear it proud. Folks forget what it means sometimes." The bell jingled again. In walked a man Sarah didn't recognize. He was older, maybe in his 70s, with silver hair cropped short and a posture straight as a flagpole. He wore a crisp suit, but his shoes shone like military boots. Behind him trailed a few other suits, briefcases. They looked official. The man scanned the diner, his eyes sharp, then they landed on Sarah. He paused, something flickering in his gaze. Sarah approached, menu in hand. "Table for 4?" she asked, her voice even. The man nodded, but as she led them to a booth, he stopped. "That jacket," he said, his tone measured. "Where did you get it?" The diner quieted a bit. Jake and his friends perked up from their corner, smirks returning. Sarah swallowed. "It was my father's, Sergeant Robert Thompson, Army, Vietnam era." The man's eyes widened slightly. He reached out, gently touching the sleeve. "Robert Thompson, 101st Airborne?" Sarah nodded, surprised. "Yes, sir." "How did you?" Well, before she could finish, the man stepped back. In one fluid motion, he raised his hand to his brow in a perfect salute. The diner fell silent. Forks clinked to plates. Jake's smirk faded. The man held a salute, his face solemn. "At ease," he said finally, lowering his hand. "I'm General Harlan Whitaker, 4 stars, retired. Your father saved my life in '68. Hill 937, Hamburger Hill, they called it." Sarah's heart pounded. The air in the diner thickened, like a storm gathering slowly. General Whitaker continued, his voice steady but warm. "We were pinned down, mortars everywhere. Your dad charged through the fire, pulled me out of a foxhole, took shrapnel for it. I owed him everything." He glanced around the room, his presence commanding. "This jacket, it's a badge of honor. Anyone mocks it mocks heroes like him." Jake shifted uncomfortably, his friends staring at their plates. The general turned to them. "You boys think it's funny? War isn't a joke, it's sacrifice." His words hung in the air, heavy but not harsh. Sarah stood there, tears welling. The twist hit her gently, like a wave lapping the shore. All these years, she'd known Dad was brave, but this made it real. The general sat down then, ordering coffee black. As Sarah poured, he shared more. "I came through town on buzziness of visiting old bases, saw the diner, felt like stopping. Fate, maybe." He pulled out a photo from his wallet, young soldiers, including her dad, grinning in the mud. Sarah touched it, memories flooding back. The diner buzzed softly now, whispers of ore replacing the earlier teasing. By closing time, the general had left, but not before shaking Sarah's hand. "Wear it proud, Miss Thompson. Your dad would want that." Sarah nodded, a quiet strength blooming inside her. That evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in deep oranges, Sarah walked home. The jacket felt lighter now, warm against the cooling air. Leaves crunched under her feet, a soft rhythm. She paused at the town square, watching families stroll by. Jake approached hesitantly. "Hey, Sarah. Sorry about earlier." "Didn't know." She smiled gently. "It's okay. Now you do." He nodded, shuffling away. In her apartment, Sarah hung the jacket carefully. She sat by the window, the stars emerging one by one. For the first time in years, she felt whole. The mockery had stung, but the salute healed. It reminded her, honor isn't loud, it's quiet, enduring. And so, in Willow Creek, life went on. But Sarah walked taller, her father's legacy alive in every step. If you ever doubt your worth, remember sometimes, a simple jacket holds a world of stories. Share yours. You never know who might salute.